What's good, everyone? This is your host, Cabernet'Rod, and you are now tuned into CRTN-T. For all of the brand new listeners out there listening to our show for the very first time, welcome. And for all of you returning listeners who are coming back for another spectacular dose of CRTN-T realness, welcome back. Now here at CRTN-T, you can take everything we say with a grain of salt. We simply just want to add some flavor to your meal. So if we're doing that, then we are doing our job. Today's episode is an episode that is a bit of a freestyle because it is something that for me right now, the way that I feel about it needs to be talked about, and I want to do it in a raw way. So that way you fully understand where I'm coming from when this subject is broached. So without further ado, today's episode topic is you're being too loud. This is CRTN-T. Let's get it. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to CRTN-T. Again, I'm your host, Cabernet'Rod, and y'all already know it's been a while. I know it, you know it, but at the same time, accountability is huge. So I just want to say thank you all for continuing to listen to this show, for allowing me to have a moment of your time. And today's episode, I've actually brought out Cabernet'Rod to talk about this subject because this is a subject to me that really shows the way that we can be sometimes. The fact that we want to be something so bad to the point where we will be super loud about it in order to make it seem like we are really about that life. And I really want to get into that. I really want to dig into that and talk about that because it is something that I have realized is a common factor in so many of our lives. And I want to talk about how that damages us. I want to talk about how that makes us look foolish because I don't know. We have this tendency to want to let the world know, to let people know who we are and why we are, as opposed to just sneaking up on people and really making it like I had no idea. Like we lose the element of surprise because we decide to be incredibly loud. And if you look at other people, they look, Lil Wayne said real G's move in silence like lasagna, and everybody's moving like Stouffer's brand lasagna right now. So why is it that we continue to be super loud? And so we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that, especially with some specific examples that really bring this topic to life. So before we get into that, as you already know, we need to take care of our housekeeping duties. So if you would like to take our show with you on the go, just know that we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Spreaker, Podchaser, Castbox, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Deezer, and YouTube. You can also find CRTN-T on Throne, which is a free live messaging application that allows us here at CRTN-T to exclusively reach our listeners. Make sure to sign up if you'd like to keep the conversations going after the episode. If you're looking for natural oils for ultimate hydration and care for your hair and skin, hit up The Resilient Lotus at www.theresilientlotus.com. You can also use promo code TRODCAST to receive a discount on your purchase. If you are a lover of authentic, chunky salsas and the most delicious birria tacos and birria pizzas in Oklahoma City, make sure to reach out to Morenitas Salsitas at www.CRTN-T.com/Morenitas-Salsitas. And last but not least, if you are in the market for an affordable graphic designer to create your next logo, flyer, album cover, or animated video, check out at Rose Graphism. That's ROZAYGRAPHISM on Instagram. As always, all this information will be in our episode notes. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. I brought Cabernet'Rod here tonight just to talk about this subject of your being too loud. And what I first want to start off with is the fact that I'm not talking about being too loud in the sense of negating pride. You know what I mean? Because one of the first things I think about is James Brown in this subject matter. You know, say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. I'm not talking about that. Like that's actual pride. That is actually something that when we hear it, when we feel it, for most of us, it's just like, you know what, it's a reminder of who we are. It's a reminder that when it comes to why we have been placed in this country, there is still something that we can adopt and that we can chant, that we can live by and live through, that gives us the pride that we need. Because this particular country, for us, has been a country that has been focused on stripping so much of that pride away. Even though our culture, our very existence comes from a void, the flip side of it is that we can still reach into it and pull out so many different things that will allow us to feel important, allow us to feel validated, allow us to feel powerful. You know, and I sometimes I hate talking about the history of my people in this country because it's so sad. It's so sad. The fact that so many of our biggest accomplishments and so many of our biggest contributions to the world come from a place of pain, and they come from a place of loss. They come from a place of separation and segregation. And in looking at some of these things nowadays, we see that people who don't look like us are adopting the things that were birthed from that place. I feel like it is one of the most hilarious sights to see. People taking on the very things that make us who we are, especially those who don't look like us, because now it's become trendy. Now it's become popular. Now it's taking over TikTok. You know what I mean? And adopting these things, but yet not being able to fully or genetically adopt the pain behind it. You know what I mean? And as a black American, it's one of the realities that we have to face, because our culture influences the world. Our culture, specifically to its most minute detail, influences the entire world. There is no denying the global influence of my people. None. There's again, like I said, we have reached into the void of our history and pulled out so many things. Like our history is like the Barney bag, you know? The Barney bag. You know, when you reach into the Barney bag, you pull out a lot of things. Gizmos, gadgets, odds and ends, and even some old string. Well, we've taken a lot of these things and fashioned so many aspects of culture today that people who do not look like us at all find that they are able to take things and apply those things to their life and make it popular because we have made it popular. We are the originators. We are not the imitators. We are not the duplicators. I'm not gonna lie. I took that whole little spiel just a few seconds ago. I took that from Drumline. I took that from Drumline. But at the same time, that is who we are. That is exactly who we are. And so when I talk about this, I'm not talking about, and I'm not attacking the very things that give us that sense of genuine pride. The things that we have fought for so that we can keep those things and make those things valid in our lives. What I am talking about is the fakery, specifically from the whole sense of the fake it till you make it type mindset. And the thing is, when I broach this particular subject, there are a couple of things that come into mind, especially being a black man, and being a black man nowadays in the year 2021, because there have been a lot of there's been a lot of talk about the types of man that we should be, the types of man that we feel should be honored and respected innately without regard to character. And one of the things that I want to touch on specifically is the idea of saying that you're a nice guy. You know, and I know I have episodes dedicated to this, but I want to talk about the loudness of this specifically. The repetition of this specifically. Because when I look at it on the grand scale, when I hear someone say that they are a nice guy, I automatically now think you are an incel, an involuntary celibate, a man who is so downtrodden because he is such a nice guy to the fact that, and to the point that he now hates women until he can get one. That's what I think. That's how I feel. Because being a former nice guy myself, I realized how loud I was being in my nice guyness. I realized that being a nice guy is literally nothing. It is a pleasantry. You can be nice to anybody. I could be in a Walmart checkout line and I have a basket full of items and somebody is coming up and they're holding 2 or 3 items in their hands, and I can be a nice guy and allow them in front of me because they have fewer items than what I have. Being nice is a pleasantry. I could be the type of person who walks up to a door and I see, you know, someone walking behind me and I hold the door open for them. That is a pleasantry. That is being nice. I can go into a drive-through line and be polite to the person on the other side of the speaker. That's a pleasantry. Being nice is a pleasantry. And so when I think about the guys out here who look at being a nice guy as a character defining trait, I see that from the standpoint of there is not much else that makes you who you are. Because being nice is common. If you bump into somebody, you say, "Excuse me." That's being nice. You know, like, it doesn't take much effort or thought to be nice. 9 times out of 10, people are going to be nice to one another because they want to avoid a negative outcome, especially with people that they do not know and in public spaces. It is easier to be nice. It is easier to avoid certain strands of conflict. It's easier. So being nice literally is nothing. It is a secondhand reaction. And there is no general purpose for it other than navigating in a peaceful way throughout all of your interactions. So why is it that nice guys are so loud about being a nice guy? Now, we already know the truth behind this. It's because they are really not a decent person. Being decent, being humble, being understanding, being kind. These are things that a nice guy forgets when they are being loud about their nice guyish ways. They forget what it means to be a person who overall encompasses the greatest aspects of a person. What truly makes you a good man or a good woman, a good person. They forget the work that goes into making you someone that is worthy of respect. See, being nice doesn't command respect. Living life on a consistent pleasantry doesn't command respect. Because even the most soft-spoken people, the people who stay out the way, the people who always have a resource for something, they always have an answer or a kind word. Oh, trust and believe. If it's time to get down, they know how to get down. But it's not their entire life. They will walk up to you. They will see you in your time of need. They will put their hand on your shoulder and say, "I got you." And they will look at you with the most kind eyes possible, because that is who they are. Forget being nice. Forget the whole idea of living your life as a consistent pleasantry. These people, the people with good hearts, the people with kind souls and kind eyes, they are the ones who understand both the pain and the progress. It's not about being nice. It's about creating an atmosphere that allows a person to feel welcome and accepted. It goes way beyond the simple pleasantries that so many of us are used to. And the craziest thing about it is that they don't have to be loud about it. because it's who they are. It's their character. It's what defines them. It's what makes them who they are. So when you feel that hand on your shoulder and you turn and you look and you see that person who sees you, who knows you, and can tell you that I will take care of this for you. That statement is coming from a place of knowing what it's like to be in this very situation that you've been in, and that simply being nice isn't enough. I want to create within you the feeling of being secure, of knowing that everything is taken care of. You don't have to worry. You don't ever have to fear. Because you know what? I've done that already. I've seen that side of life. And I don't want you to feel this more than what you need to feel. Because now you have someone who is truly wanting to be an ally to you, wanting to give to you. Now tell me, do you think a nice guy, someone who loudly and proudly proclaims that he's a nice guy, is going to go to the depths of a kind person? Because again, never take kindness for weakness. There are a lot of kind people out here that'll whoop your ass. You know? So don't take kindness for weakness. But do you think that a nice guy, a nice person, has that kind of depth? Think about that. And don't think too long, because no, they don't. They don't have that depth. They don't care that deeply. And that's the craziest part about it. The level of care that they put into something stops at being nice to other people. And that's the craziest part about it. It's the craziest part. Because they think that being nice automatically grants them so many benefits. And that is so far from the truth. So far from it. But you know what? Okay. I spend enough time on this subject. I hope that you have your water, your wine, your juice, your beer, your tea, whatever it is close by. Go ahead and take another drink, and we will be right back. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself, and I want to make sure I stay on track, because I really want to break this down. So you guys, go ahead, take a drink. We will be right back. This is Rodcast with Cabernet'Rod, and yeah, we're gonna go into the break. So yeah, stay hydrated. Yo, what's good, everyone? This is your host of Rodcast, Rashawn, and I just want to welcome you to the commercial break. Now, you already know what time it is. It's hydration time. Get some high-quality H2O in your system now. Got a few things I'd like to go over. First, to all of our new and returning listeners, thank you so much for your ear and your time. To all of our Patreon supporters, I just want you to know that we are not able to do this without your direct support. So the biggest, dopest Rodcast thank you goes out to you. If you're listening in and you're thinking about becoming part of the Rodcast Patreon family, we'd love to have you. You can find us at www.patreon.com/Rodcast. Now on Patreon, we have 3 tiers of support. a $2 tier, a $3 tier, and lastly, a $6 tier. Each tier comes with its own set of unique perks, so if you find one that fits you, sign up. For us, the main thing is keeping our subscription prices affordable. We know that you work hard for your money, and if you choose to support Taradcast this way, we truly want to make it worth your time. To find out more about our Patreon and the perks with each tier, visit www.patreon.com/Taradcast. We've got it all laid out for you. Also, we've got a merchandise store. Pick up some tees, hoodies, leggings, and more at forevercertain.redbubble.com. All proceeds go right back into the Taradcast podcast and allow us to keep making high quality content for people just like you. For our listeners out there who would like to support us in a non-monetary way, we'd love that too. Share our show with people you know. Also, share us on your social media. And if your favorite Taradcast streaming service allows you to rate and review our show and you're loving what you're hearing, take some time and leave us a 5-star review. Ratings and reviews are what set us apart from other podcasts and also helps us to recommend our podcast to other listeners we otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to reach. Lastly, if you'd like to reach out to us directly, email us at taradcast@CRTN-T.com. That's taradcast@CRTN-T.com. All of this information can always be found in our episode notes, so make sure to check there if you forget any of the information we just went over. Once again, thank you all so much, and let's get back to the program. Welcome back to Taradcast. Again, I'm your host, Cabernet'Rod, because that is what I was sipping on before doing this episode. And I know that the last segment talked about nice guys. And now this segment, I want to take some time to dive into the alpha males and the high value males and, people who walk around saying things like that. Now, before I get into this, I had to adjust my seat. Before I get into this, what I wanna do is give a shout out to my girl Sheba Fisher, because when she had me on her show, we talked about many different things. And one of the things that she called me was an alpha male. Now, I'm not someone who necessarily cares about a lot of these types of titles, right? Because a lot of these titles tend to deal specifically in black and white definitions of how someone should be or how they should portray themselves in order for this title to be made real. And I remember when we were talking, she was coming from a standpoint of me handling business, me taking care of my family, me extending kindness to others and lifting other people up and making sure that I do everything within my power to impact someone positively, and never wavering in that, never shaking in that, never letting any of that fall by the wayside. And so when she was like, when she told me that this is alpha male behavior, I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked, because again, I don't necessarily live by these types of titles. I don't. And so to hear that, I was like, wow, there are people out here who actually see what it is that I am trying to do. They see the life that I am trying to live. And they look at that as being powerful. And to be honest, I would look at it the same way in other people. Because so many people out here don't give a damn about their influence, their positive influence on other people. They don't, because being positive takes work. Actually wanting to do good in this world takes work. And so, Sheba, I appreciate you even saying that. That was one of the things in our conversation that really stuck out to me. Because again, it's the acknowledgement of who I am innately. See, I didn't have to jump on her show and say I am an alpha male because, and this is what I really wanted to get into. This is, I transitioned that beautifully. I really wanted to get into that because there are a lot of people, especially a lot of guys out here who will blatantly say, I am an alpha male. I need an alpha female or whatever. And one of my biggest things is that if you have to say it out loud, especially with things like this, if you feel the need to constantly and consistently say it out loud, it's not true of you. It is not who you are. You are faking it until you make it. You have to reinforce these terms with the sound of your voice in order to make it true. Which means that because you are doing that, it is not in your character. It is not who you are. It's not in your DNA. You are trying to adopt it. And by speaking on it so loud, again, you're being too loud, but by speaking on it so much, so heavily, with such volume, you want others to believe it so that way they see you that way. They approach you that way. They give you what you need to feed into the ego behind the loudness. You know, there are a lot of guys out here who like to be aloof, who like to just simply not care, not give a damn. There are a lot of guys out here who do not care about their actions. They will go to sleep fine. It doesn't matter. There are a lot of guys out here who are just like that. They will hurt people. They will slander people. They will elevate themselves up above other people in the most selfish and egotistical way possible, all for the sake of getting the world and the people around them to believe that they are an alpha male. Because being an alpha male means being dominant. It means having the answers. It means being sure and confident of yourself. It means not taking anything from anyone who decides to challenge your ideals. And I get it. I do. I get it. I get it. Because the last thing that you want to actually ever have happen is to be made weak in the presence of those who you are trying to convince that you're strong. It breaks the entire illusion. And when that illusion is broken, people see you for exactly who you are. You're a coward. You're a fake. You're a manipulator. You are a transgressor. You are egotistical. And so when I hear people talk about being alpha males, when they talk about it so loud, they talk about it with such ferocity, I just sit back and I fold my arms like Sagat from Street Fighter and I laugh. Because why are you talking about it? If you have to talk about it, if you spend every waking moment expressing these thoughts to other people, then it's not you. It's not you. If you have to say the words, I am an alpha, you are not an alpha. You're not. Because the thing is, you don't believe it yet. You don't believe it. So you have to say it. You have to tell other people. You have to make other people believe it so that way you feel the validation in what you're saying. And that's the saddest part about it. That is the saddest part about it. You have to convince others that what you feel about yourself is real, as opposed to working on making yourself into the image of someone that can get things done, that can walk with confidence, even when nobody is looking, that can master vulnerability and communication, You are focused on how other people see you. Your self-image. You're finally tuning it so much to where it has now become an obsession. If everybody doesn't see you this way, then there's a problem. But real alphas don't care. They don't care. They don't have to speak on it. They don't have to say it. They don't take on everybody else's viewpoints because they know what they're doing, and what they're doing is more important than how people see them. So when I think about people who consider themselves alphas or having, being dominant or whatever, if the moment that they speak on it is the moment it becomes invalid. I want y'all to get that. Because, and case in point, I was watching a video the other day with Nick Cannon and this gentleman who was a representative of the Nation of Islam. And they were talking about white women and how black men view white women as a prize, and they view white women as sticking it to the oppressor. Like, I got one of your women, what can you say now? You prize your women this way and that way. Well, I got one of them, and now that automatically increases my value. First of all, Nick Cannon has done a lot of successful things, but he's still a fucking clown. Okay? So, I'm sorry if you like Nick Cannon, but he's a clown. But I'm not going to make this necessarily a Nick Cannon bashing podcast, because what I really want to do is just point out the examples of what being too loud looks like. Because in this conversation, and you can probably find it, just Google Nick Cannon white women podcast or whatever. But as he was talking, he was blatantly saying things like my alpha tendencies, or I am, a dominant this, or, just different things like that. Things that to the listener, as he is saying them, are supposed to convince us that he is this person. And the reason why I bring him up, especially in this type of example, is because if you look at the trajectory of this man's life, he started on Nickelodeon. He was a child star. Y'all remember Drumline? Y'all remember Love Don't Cost a Thing? And then, he goes on to star in like that little secret agent film and things like that. Like, he was a child star. Like, I loved him on Nickelodeon. And then he began to transition into hip hop. Like, y'all remember that song he did with R. Kelly, Gigolo. Y'all remember Gigolo. Don't sit up here and pretend like you don't remember Gigolo. And that was the start. For me, at least. It may have started earlier. But with that being said, this man has transitioned into being a child actor, into trying to embrace hip hop culture in like the playboy way, the gangster way. We see him like he's built. The guy is buff. He's got tattoos and all that. Yeah, And the thing is, I remember he also starred in Chirac, and he also starred in King of the Dance Hall. And I feel like, and maybe this is what it was, because I know so many guys have probably dealt with this. But Nick Cannon was probably the guy who was like the wannabe in high school. Like, he wanted to be one of the cool kids, but he wasn't all the way cool. He wanted to be one of the sports, players, the jocks, but he wasn't. So he just associated with a lot of people. And he began to start adopting those characteristics, even though it wasn't him. And so when I look at who he is now, the buff turban wearing person who believes he's spouting knowledge, I think about Chirac. I think about King of the Dance Hall, and the fact that these are basically representations of him wishing that he could have lived the life that he is portraying in these movies. That he is the actual playboy that gets all the girls in these movies. That he has always been sexually desirable. You know, he even had this song, this obnoxious, mediocre song called "If I Was Your Man," and I remember it had Chili from TLC in it, and it was one of the most painful things I had ever heard in my life. You know, talking about I ain't shit and this and that, and talking about sex and whatnot, making it seem like he is this person who just simply doesn't care, and he's doing it with a loudness, with a volume that is supposed to make us believe that this is who he has always been. And so when I listened to that podcast, when I watched that video of him speaking with the gentleman from the Nation of Islam, there were so many things that made me think back to the contradictions, the very clear contradictions in his character, and also between what he really is as a person and what he's trying to show the world and convince us to believe. And the thing is, people like that, you're being too loud. If the first thing you have to do is convince someone that this is who you are, it's not who you are. Just go ahead and hang it up. It's not who you are. That is not your character. But the thing is, you will go out here and you will sit here and you will mistreat so many other people because you want to be viewed specifically as something that you're not. And it's sad. It's incredibly sad. You would rather create a false narrative about yourself so that you can feel good about yourself than honestly and truthfully being a decent person. That is more of a priority for you, and you will take the time to be loud about it to the point that you will drown out anybody else's voice to do so. And that does not make you anything that you believe that you are. It actually makes you the worst kind of person. And I know I can't tolerate that. I can't be around that. Because over here, we're trying to grow. Over here, we're trying to inspire. Over here, we're trying to bring out the best in everyone that we come across. And we ain't got to be loud about that. We don't have to be boisterous and flamboyant about that. Because it's already in our bloodstream. Yeah, back in the day, there were things about me that I am so glad I changed and that I grew out of. Because now, my focus is making sure that I handle business. And if I have the opportunity and the privilege of coming into contact with someone who recognizes that, I don't need to say anything out loud. I don't need to say shit. I don't. Because it is something that if it is recognized for the right reasons. I didn't have to utter a word about it. It's literally that simple. So if you're out here being super loud about who you think you need to be, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Let it ooze out of your character. Let it permeate through your actions. Let it be witnessed and seen in your follow-up and your follow-through. Because if you're being too loud, you're being too wrong. Basically. Especially with things that have not been a part of you, who are not you in their entirety. Again, I understand fake it till you make it. But at the same time, if it's not you, it's not you. So work on that internally so that it does become you. But also, when it becomes you, make sure you're doing those things. You're adopting those characteristics for the right reasons. Make sure you're healing yourself. Make sure you are actually taking time to understand and be vulnerable with yourself, because that's the only thing that's going to matter in the end. So with that being said, y'all, that is our show. I appreciate y'all dealing with Cabernet'Rod and his entire rant today. But at the same time, this is something that has been on our minds for so long, and we wanted to take just a few moments to really talk about this. And so we appreciate you giving us that time to do so and just allowing us to get our thoughts out on the airwaves. So again, being loud, being prideful, actually having something worth putting your energy in is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. But when it comes to the things that are not you, when it comes to the most basic, minuscule, or the things that you want people to specifically see you as, if it is not you, don't be loud about it. Work on it internally until it becomes you, and then let other people say it for you. That's the key in this whole philosophy. Don't let anybody or don't let yourself get to the point where you're complimenting yourself. Let other people do it for you, because at that point they can see that that's who you are. So, you know what? You can take that with a grain of salt. I could be completely wrong, and that's okay. It's my opinion, but hey, that's what we do here at Rodcast. But again, I appreciate y'all for listening. You all know how to find us. You all know how to support us. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and also take the conversation to our throne room. Links, just like everything else, are in the show notes. And I want to always leave you all with this. Wherever you are, whomever you are, I want to always encourage you to be more introspective and vulnerable with yourself. Know who you are, trust in who you are, and love who you are. Again, thank you, all of you, for listening to our show. I've been your host, Cabernet'Rod, and I want you to make every effort to find and keep your peace. Talk to y'all next time.